During an interview on CNN this week, a former advisor that served in the Trump administration, specifically Olivia Troye, who served as a Homeland Security advisor to then Vice President Mike Pence, she told CNN that at one point during the Trump administration, she actually had to beg Donald Trump to not shoot protesters in Washington, D.C. This event, of course, was in 2020 when we had the nationwide George Floyd protests. Happened on the same day that we know that Donald Trump ordered the military to clear out the square so he could go and take a picture holding up his Bible. But earlier in that day, Olivia Troye says she had to tell Donald Trump, please don't shoot the protesters. Here is what she told CNN. I walked those grounds outside the White House the day that Donald Trump suggested we shoot protesters and Americans. I had friends there in that square with their families. They were peacefully protesting. She then says, the former Pence advisor warned potential Trump voters to consider the Republican presidential nominee's recent campaign claim that he'd willingly sic the military on, quote, enemies from within, and not to assume he only meant immigrants. What he's really talking about is anyone who actually presents an existential threat against him, whether it's the media, whether it's Americans, whether it's protesters. He wanted to use the military to shoot migrants. This is from CNN's Kevin Carroll, the host of the show, including women and children crossing the Rio Grande. He wanted to invoke the Insurrection Act to use federal troops against protesters during the George Floyd demonstrations on January 6th. Part of the plan was again to invoke the Insurrection Act to use federal troops to protest, or if protests broke out after Mike Pence refused to certify the election. So this is Trump's MO. This is what he does. Anytime a situation arises, he wants to use the military to immediately push it down. And we know this because, one, the people that served in the administration are telling us this. He wanted to shoot the protesters, people exercising their First Amendment rights, and he wanted them dead. Wanted the military to kill them because they were doing what the Constitution says they're allowed to do. And again, this wasn't the first time. This wasn't the last time. He wanted to shoot the migrants. He wanted to shoot people coming across the border. And I don't know if I need to remind you of this, but I will. Illegally crossing the border is a misdemeanor. Okay? Definitely not a capital offense. Definitely not something anybody should die for. But it didn't matter to Trump. And then this past weekend, during that interview with Maria Bartiromo, I'd use the National Guard to go after the enemies from within. Maybe even the military. Like, not just the National Guard. The actual army. Send them out there in their full fatigues to shoot people who disagree with me. And then, after making that statement this past weekend, he doubled down on it in a Fox News town hall this week. So he's not walking it back. He is telling us this is what I will do. Except next time he wants to do something like this, if he gets back into office, there's not going to be an Olivia Troye there to tell him, please don't do this because I have friends and family out there. There will be nobody to tell him no. That's the difference of a second Trump term. We know from reports that there was nonstop arguments, nonstop people telling him, no, you can't do this. No, we shouldn't. Let's back off. The DOJ would do it, even with his handpicked people. He doesn't want to repeat any of that. Donald Trump does not want to hear the word no in his second administration. And he won't. And that's why stories like this are stories that we have to pay attention to, because it's the groundwork for what this man will do and will be able to do if he gets back into the White House. Thanks for watching today, everybody. And don't forget, if you're not already, please do subscribe to this channel. We have fresh content going up every single day, and I would really hate for you to miss out on that. And speaking of missing out, if you're not following me across all other social media outlets, then get on it. You can follow the links in the description of this video.